Hey people, what's going on? It's going to be a banger of a video because there's lots of stuff to discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, genuinely really do hope that, and welcome back to Chelsea News, the daily series of course, here on Football Therapy, where I reflect on what's being said around the media, giving you my opinion, and more importantly asking for yours. Again, to reiterate, lots to talk about today. Thomas Tuchel has spoken on a lot of things in his pre-match press conference prior to Chelsea's Premier League game against Norwich tomorrow night, which will be good, hopefully. I'm going to cover as much as I can because I don't want this video to go on for an hour, but there's lots of good stuff I want to talk about. Sad news in Reece James, another injury. Thomas Tuchel seemingly very angry with the Christensen situation, and I've kind of got that feeling before. What else do we want to talk about? We want to talk about his excellent relationship with Marina Granovskaya, and I also want to cite an article by Matt Law in the Telegraph referencing Nick Candy and Chelsea's need for a hashtag quote world-class stadium. Hashtag world-class stadium. Cool, man. Lots to get into. Settle in. I'd make the request if you could like the video because it does help me. And yeah, of course, daily videos. And I try and be as quick as possible on news. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notifications icon. Also, there's an article that I'm not going to read today, but it wasn't Jacob Steinberg, it's Dave Caldwell. Jacob Steinberg tweeted it, an article on why Chelsea fans should take one look at Woody Johnson's Jets and be very afraid. Of course, Woody Johnson is an American owner being linked to the purchase of Chelsea Football Club. He runs a team, the Jets, that are no good. And that is a big red flag, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to get into that today, but feel free to comment on that down in the comment section. We'll be talking about Nick Candy and Tom Morgan and Matt Law's article in the Telegraph, which I will reference. I will link down in the description. Let's start off with Tommy Tuch's press conference. He spoke about a bunch of things. Off the bat, Reece James injured. It's not the same injury, which is good. It's the other leg, but he's got a muscular injury, and Tuchel does not sound very positive about it, especially because he was referencing, yes, Reece James is very important for us. You can see what he brings. He is the man. Do you know what I mean? So, very, very frustrating. It looks like he certainly won't be out in for tomorrow's game, and we don't know how long he's going to be out for. In fact, that's why he was substituted in the game last time out, because he had this injury on the other leg from whichever the hamstring injury was. So that's really frustrating news. He looked like the king of the world back on the pitch. He's such a good player. Maybe he got a little bit overexcited in his reintegration into the side. Frustrating, but although Tuchel said it is a setback and we're worried, it wasn't like, oh my god, you know, he's going to be out for ages again. It was like, oh god, this is annoying, this is frustrating. He also referenced the Ben Chilwell pictures, him training on the grass. A lot of people, understandably, Chelsea fans, getting very excited. You see what Reece James can do when back in the team. Ben Chilwell will also be super effective. Yes, we all sometimes feel like, it's frustrating that Chelsea are so reliant on these wingbacks in the system, but ultimately we are. But when they are in the team, we become an absolute force, a juggernaut. So people got excited seeing Ben Chilwell back, but Thomas Tuchel doused that excitement, saying, yeah, he was out for like a minute. I know there was a photo, and this guy isn't going to return for this season, but, you know, it's good for him. He's back on the grass. So I wanted to talk about that. Let's spend some time and let's talk about Andreas Christensen, because we've all seen the Fabrizio Romano tweets of late, pretty much saying, yep, it's done. He's going to Barcelona. He's made his decision. He's not going to Bayern. Barca offer more money, and maybe they're probably a more attractive... Well, I don't know if they're more attractive because Bayern win everything and they're an amazing team, but Barca look good under Xavi now. It might suit his football better. They'll probably offer him a better pay. Well, they will definitely offer him a better pay package. And it's done, and he doesn't want to join the Premier League rival, so he's going to go to Barca. Tuchel is not happy with this. In fact, he said, quote, "We are not happy with the situation." And he said this before. I've talked about this before here on Football Therapy about, remember the quotes from Tuchel saying, look, he's talked the talk about being a Chelsea boy. Now he's got to walk the walk. Basically publicly putting pressure on Christensen to sign a new contract, which I find quite interesting from the Chelsea manager. Because he's usually quite I don't know, philosophically agnostic about things. Like, hey, whatever happens, happens. Let's just hope it goes well, and we'll see. He's really put pressure on Christensen to sign, and he made some quotes, and he's talking a lot of sense. I don't want to say what he's saying is a nonsense, because he was like, look, we play in a system that suits him. We're in a great team. His teammates suit him, and we're moving forward. Pretty much saying you should stay at Chelsea, mate. I think you should stay at Chelsea. That's pretty much what he was saying. And it was interesting to hear him reference this system. Mate, you go to Barcelona back in a 2, it's not going to suit you as much. I think he feels like he is the natural successor to Thiago Silva down the middle. And I think he feels he said stuff like he could be a big player for years to come for Chelsea. Do you know what I mean? This is so bright. So I'm just going to quickly turn this light down, guys. I don't know why that's better. Kind of. It's just really, really bright. Sorry if it's really bright. I'll sort that out for the next video. Really interesting to hear that from Tommy Tuchel. Basically applying more pressure to Christensen, saying you should just sign, mate. And he is really unhappy. Now, before we talk about Nick Candy and talk about the new ownership, let's reference another thing that Tuchel spoke of in this press conference. Of course, he was asked about the new ownership. He's asked a couple of questions. How close are Chelsea to reaching the Liverpool and City level? Because Klopp made a comment about how they push each other on to become better and better. I actually personally thought that after that comment that he might be like, hey, you know what? We were just as good as Liverpool in the final. We are at that level now. But that's not the truth, because it's about consistency, isn't it, throughout the season? And Liverpool have been more consistent. And he said, you know what? We've got everything. We've got everything we need to do it. There's no excuses. And we've got the culture of winning and resilience. And that was really important, because people talk about the Chelsea culture. I know it's a mystique thing of your own football team. We play the West Ham way. What the fuck's the West Ham way? Do you know what I mean? But with Chelsea, no matter what turbulence there is an undeniable culture of winning. You just win. You win trophies. You just win. And he spoke of that resilience and that Chelsea culture with the uncertainty in the world at the moment, but also around Chelsea Football Club and Chelsea going out and getting results regardless. They're doing it anyway. They're winning anyway. And he referenced that as part of the Chelsea culture. And he said, this is what we've got. This is what we need. And we've got no excuses. We just need to work, essentially. We can be as good as Liverpool and City. And I believed him. He also was posed the question, I believe, by Simon Johnson of The Athletic. Look, how important is this sort of continuity moving forwards with, he referenced Marina Granovskaya. And I found it really interesting that, well, we already know this, but it was interesting to hear Tuchel say, I've got a really good relationship with Marina. It's been excellent. What did he say? Yeah, it's an excellent relationship with Marina. It's been functioning really well. They obviously, and look at Conte and Marina Granovskaya. They hated each other. So the fact how they're really in a good relationship, Tuchel and Marina, he's I hope it goes on. He's obviously for certain, he doesn't know if Marina's going to stay, if Marina's going to go, but he's pretty much said yeah, it's an excellent relationship. It functions and works really well. And essentially, long may it continue. Right, now I've been speaking for a long time. I told you this video is going to be long, but I do want to talk about, spend some time and talk about this article from Matt Law and indeed, Tom Morgan. I will link this in the description so you can read it yourself. It's, of course, behind a paywall, so it's important that I, direct you appropriately. So they're referencing Nick Candy, property developer. Good start, property developer. Nick Candy weighs up £2.5 billion bid for Chelsea. Now, Roman Abramovich has turned down £2.2 billion bids before, and that's in situations where Chelsea aren't forced to sell. So that's more. Some people are thinking he'd have to accept 1.5 or 7 or something. So maybe he would very seriously listen to a £2.5 billion bid. And plans to redevelop Stamford Bridge. Big thing. Chelsea fan and his brother are worth... Chelsea fan? That's good. And his brother are worth 1.5 billion. and have told the Telegraph Sport they have spoken to most parties of a consortium. There you go. So, a consortium to reach said bid. Nick Candy, a British property developer, has said he's in talks with a consortium about offering a £2.5 billion bid with Chelsea, for Chelsea, with a pledge to redevelop Stamford Bridge. The 49-year-old Chelsea fan, hey-oh, told the Telegraph Sport. The thing is, this is the problem. When you start telling people about your bids before you've actually seen, like, a lot of stuff in the media is saying if you're serious of buying Chelsea, you're signing non-disclosure agreements, NDAs. You're not wanting anyone to know until you've put a bid in. People who actively talk about bidding and buying, there's speculation that these guys aren't serious, that these guys are unlikely to be the owners to purchase. So that might be the case. So I'm not saying for sure. I'm just referencing what people have been saying. We are looking at what the art of the possible is. What a wanky term. When asked about his involvement with a potential deal, he added that, quote, spoken to most of the parties, end quote, about the prospect of tabling a formal offer. Candy and his younger brother are both developers, with the estimated joint worth of 1.5 billion. A spokesperson for Candy said earlier that he is actively exploring a number of options. Interesting. The club deserves a world-class stadium, and Mr. Candy's unique expertise and background in real estate would be hugely valuable in a valuable asset to delivering this vision, a statement added. Sounds good. He knows how to build things. He knows about property. I mean, are we happy with that? It sounds positive, you know. The brothers' best-known property developments include London's One Hyde Park, NoHo Square, and the redevelopment of the former Chelsea barracks. Candy, who was married to former Neighbours actress Holly Valance, previously fundraised for Sean Bailey's London mayoral campaign. Fine. Talks are at a significantly less advanced stage than the other offer led by American billionaire Todd Boehly. So that's with Hans-Jörg Wyss, who is now waiting for whether Roman Abramovich will accept his bid. So bid made. The Boehly-led bid, which involves Swiss billionaire Hans-Jörg Wyss, there he is, and one other businessman that we don't know who that is yet, so far unnamed, has officially been submitted through the New York-based merchant bank Rain. Boehly is a part owner of the LA Dodgers, hoped to jump the queue of interested parties ahead of the March to the 15th deadline. This is that thing, right? Like, there's a deadline, March the 15th, and people are saying that's to do with sanctions. I'm a little bit afraid of like a deadline that's coming swiftly, because it makes me think like, Is that going to be conducive to the best and most appropriate owner coming into Chelsea? Like, quick, sell, quick, we've got to sell now. We've got to sell now. Yes, take it, it's yours. And then we could end up with someone that we are protesting against for the next 20 years, like the Glazers, the Cronkies, Mike Ashley. Pick your poison, mate. I'm terrified of all that. Anyway, which is the same date Britain will be able to sanction hundreds of individuals if emergency legislation is passed as scheduled after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Yeah, so basically that's the date. There's more in this article as well. I'm mindful, I don't want to read it all because it's behind the paywall, but I will link it in the description. Yeah, wild, man. Absolutely wild. So Nick Candy, it sounds good, but it's because he's a Chelsea fan. He's a British owner. I don't know if that means anything, but you'd assume he's like connected to English footballing culture, which is important. And which would make you have to think this kind of owner, again, speculation, I don't know the character of the man, but this kind of owner would be less inclined to sign away the soul of English football for the European Super League, which you guys know I'm fully against. I have a much greater fear that an American owner will come in and be more inclined to go with something like that, to sign for that. So I'm terrified about that. Nick Candy sounds good in that sense. Chelsea fan, wants to rebuild Stamford Bridge. Great, sounds good on paper, but you don't know until you know, do you? Wild things today, man. bids coming in, officially made. There's a deadline. Wow. Okay, let me know what you think. Comment down below. Not that, I thought this video was going to be much, much longer, but I'm happy with that. That's a nice rounded time. Comment down below. Thank you to everyone who continues to support the content. I've got some lovely messages on social media platforms, and I read a lot of your comments on the videos. Really nice messages from you guys, so I want to thank you all. I probably don't thank you enough, even though you'd probably get bored of me doing it in every video, but I am very grateful. And yeah, if you can, like the video and subscribe and share. It all helps out a lot. Keep it locked. I'll upload as soon as something else comes out. Enjoy the football. Peace.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me, baby.